Yeah, Khushbu, carry on. Khushbu.
A warm good evening to one and all present here. I'm Khushbu Singh, consultant dietitian, as well as a life member at IAPEN India. I welcome you all to this program on behalf of IAPEN Kolkata chapter. This session today is on the topic Milk Dilemma, Myths and Facts, A1 versus A2. It's Mother's Day today, and what better day to discuss a topic that's closest to all our mothers' heart. I don't think there's anyone present here who has not been scolded by their mother for not having milk. So milk is not only an integral part of the Indian diet, but it is an integral part of different diets around the world. It is part of different food pyramids and food plates by different organizations in different countries of the world. So, but even though we have a lot of doubts on how much milk has to be consumed daily, at what time should we consume it, in what form we have to consume it, and I'm sure after the session today, we'll have a full stop to all our doubts, all our apprehensions. So, not taking any further time, I would like to introduce our moderator for the day, dietitian Soumyendu Ghosh. Sir is a clinical dietitian, lifestyle counselor, and diabetes educator. Currently, he is leading online nutrition courses for aspiring dietitians and professionals. He is practicing as a freelance dietitian and is attached to Soulful Steps for developmental kids. Sir was formerly attached for more than 10 years as a lead dietitian for Eastern region. He has been a speaker in different scientific seminars and he has participated in different researches, specifically in a research on diabetes, which was a pan-India operational research to study the outcome of diabetes in terms of HbA1c and the quality of life in diabetes patients conducted by IDE, New Delhi. Sir is a speaker. He has worked as a corporate lifestyle counselor with IBM, TCS, Reliance, Vodafone, etc. And he has worked as a dietitian in several hospitals in Kolkata. Welcoming you, sir. Please take over.
Thank you so much, Khushbu, and very good evening to all the audiences from India as well as Bangladesh. I really want to thank IAPEN Kolkata chapter to organize this program in webinar. Especially, I want to thank our presidents, our Vice President Sudashna ma'am, our Secretary Koel Pal Chaudhary, all the EC member. Special thanks to Ipshita ma'am for always encouraging us, and a very special thanks to Sanghamitra ma'am. Actually, she has identified this topic when we have presented in a Nutri Fiesta in November. So one of our stall was on milk A1 versus A2. So in that, Sanghamitra ma'am has requested us to give that opportunity to our junior dietitian or the students. So Shaurodip was one of them. So let's move forward to Shaurodip's introduction. So as you all know that cow milk protein allergy, nowadays all the doctors and the pediatrician, as I am associated with many pediatricians, CMPA, they are writing. So what is the problem? Is it with the lactose? Is it with the milk protein, that is casein protein, or something else? So there is a concept of A1 and A2 milk. In the 67th position, that is BCM7 is present in the A1 category of milk, that is the foreign breed. Whereas in the A2 milk, that is the Indian breeds, so that histamine is replaced by proline. So the problem is actually the allergen is histamine. From histidine, histamine is like we are getting. So today from our discussion, I think many of the doubts, myths will be cleared. And before that, I want to introduce Mr. Shaurodip Das. He has also completed her master's and as well as graduations in food and nutrition, as well as dietetics and community nutrition. He is working in Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, Jadavpur, under the Department of Science and Technology. Completed 3 months internship as well in ILS hospitals. He has also participated in many nutrition seminars and also has given talk on nutrition topics. He is the life member of IDA SND. So I welcome Shauradip. And then our next speaker is Miss Bijoya Dash. She is Masters in Biotechnology as well as Biochemistry. She is the founder of Nutrio Biochem, the Science of Wellbeing, Faculty of Nutritional Biochemistry in Cognize Nutrition, worked as an educator of ACE nutritionist gene-based diet. She is also the ex-employee. She has worked for a long time in the Army Welfare Educational Society as a faculty. Her area of specialization is related to the application of biological technique in molecular biology, microbiology, cell biology, and she has done many projects. She was also the assistant professor for Calcutta School of Tropical Medicine, participated in many national, international conferences. She has received many awards in her field. So I welcome also Bijoya Dash ma'am in today's topic. So first, Pritha, if you can share Shauradip's slides. So Shauradip, first he will just discuss. Shauradip, can you switch on your camera and audio, please? So Shauradip will discuss about the history and the facts, because as a nutritionist, we need to know little bit. 5 to 7 minutes or 10 minutes, we will discuss about the history, because we are losing our indigenous breed because of the competition in the market to produce more milk. So we have given the topic name, what we are drinking in the name of milk. So artificially is the cows which are capable of giving 16, 17 liter of milk. The cows are giving 60 liters of milks also in the foreign countries. So what is the reason behind that? So Shauradip, you can start your presentation. And thank you all the audience. You can keep posting your questions in the chat box. At the end, we will have a Q&A session as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice introduction. Good evening, all. I am Shauradip Das, as sir previously introduced me. I also want to thank you, IAPEN Kolkata chapter, for giving me such a grand opportunity to talk on today's topic, which is milk dilemma, myths and facts. So why today's webinar get arranged? Because we all have sound knowledge about milk and its nutritive value and how it works on our health. Is there any other thing to know? Is there any other concept arrived in this scenario? Yes, there is. We are going to talk about different types of myths and facts regarding milk and how those milks and fat related to our different types of diseases and how it is causing in our health. Eventually, we are going to know about this, but before that, we have to plunge into the history and other facts of the milk. So let's start. Let's begin with the classification of milk. Milk that we usually get two sources, which is the milk coming from the foreign breeds such as Holstein, British Shorthorn, Brown Swiss are commonly known as A1 milk. And milk that is derived from the indigenous cow such as Gir, Sahiwal, Tharparkar, Kankrej, etc. is usually known as A2 milk. Now, how we can differentiate between these two types of cow? If we have a look into the picture, then we can find in case of the foreign breed, it has no hump in its back and its back is quite straight and there is no flap in its neck region. Similarly, in case of the indigenous breed, there is a hump on its back and its back is quite curved and there is a flap in its neck region. In this way, we can differentiate between these two cows. Next slide, please. This is the pictographic presentation of different types of indigenous cows that we usually found throughout our country. Among them, the indigenous breeds belong to the western part of our country, such as Sahiwal, Tharparkar, Gir, Kankrej, Rathi are special. They are very much special for producing huge quantity of milk. But due to the lack of awareness, typical marketing policy for producing huge quantity of milk and crossbreeding, we are losing this type of indigenous breed day by day. Next slide, please. Here it comes the most interesting fact behind the history of milk. Now we can have more or less idea about what is A1, that is foreign milk, and what is A2, that is indigenous milk. But how the both milk were originated in the ancient time, very few can have the proper idea about this. So there is a brief history behind this that I am going to present now. The well-known Maharaja from Bhavnagar, Gujarat, played an instrumental role in changing the fortune of Brazilian dairy system. In 1940, he gave a 10-year-old Gir cow named Krishna, along with other 18 cattle, to a Brazilian cattle baron named Celso Garcia Cid. After having it and rearing it up, it was subsequently crossbred with Holstein, a Dutch variety, which produces a crossbred cow named as Girolando. In 1989, the Ministry of Agriculture Brazil revealed that Girolando can able to produce 80% of milk throughout the country, which is a large quantity of milk that any A2 category cow or indigenous breed cow barely can produce. Next slide, please. In due course of time, one revolutionary movement had made its mark in the Indian history, which is usually known as White Revolution. In 1970, 13 January, Operation Flood got implemented by the Government of India to materialize the project National Dairy Development Board. Through this initiation, India became the largest milk producing nation by suppressing USA and other countries in 1998. Dr. Verghese Purain, the chairman and founder of Anand Milk Union Limited or AMUL, was appointed as the chairman of NDDB by Prime Minister Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri. Next slide, please. What is the objective of the Operation Flood? Basically the objective was that to reduce the scarcity of milk by production of huge quantity of milk through crossbreeding and ensuring the profit goes to the producers, eliminating the middlemen, and also reducing the price of milk, making it available to throughout all over the India. Those were the main objective of Operation Flood. Next slide, please. Though Operation Flood got implemented, but its consequences was not go so well, because due to the production of huge quantity of milk, crossbreeding was taken place between the indigenous breeds such as Sahiwal, Gir, Rathi, Kankraj, etc., along with the exotic breed. Though the milk production was huge, but it not only pushes our indigenous breed to extinct, but also it produces different types of hybrid genetic cow as well. So Operation Flood always remained very much influential in case of milk production in our India. Next slide, please. Now, how the genetics works behind the A2, A1 milk, that is foreign milk, or A2 milk, that is indigenous milk. First of all, we all need to know that both A1 and A2 allele are codominant, which means if we are looking at a cow that is appearing as a indigenous breed or indigenous cow in front of us, it may not be the pure indigenous breed. That means it can be the carrier of 50% chances that it can be the carrier of A2 allele also. So the milk that we are purchasing from our local market, we cannot be sure about that we are getting the pure genotype. The milk is coming from the pure genotype, A2 category cow or A1 category cow. It only can be confirmed by the genetic analysis, which is pretty much costly and usually done by the companies. So the milk we are daily consuming, it is beyond our conception that it is may or may not be the pure variety. So now I would like to invite Ms. Vijaya Dash Madam for our knowing the compositions of the milk and how those compositions are related with different types of diseases. So without any delay, I am cordially inviting ma'am on the platform. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good evening to everyone, and thank you, Sharade. I feel privileged, and I'm really thankful to IPN Kolkata chapter for organizing such a wonderful content seminar, which is very crucial but yet less discussed. So, the basic motive of today's discussion is to analyze that what is the two variant of milk, that is A2 and A1. Nowadays, it's everywhere on the social media. There is branding, there is marketing which is going on. Now, we must be aware that what exactly this A2 is. Is it a real way of branding and selling the products, or it has its own utility? So, while we always discuss about milk or its deleterious effects, whether it is like blotting, whether it is any form of inflammation, any allergic reaction, we always mostly focus on lactose. And most of the time, the individuals who come with difficulties of milk related digestion, milk related issues, they are always tagged as lactose intolerant. Now, here I have a very important question to raise, that is lactose. Of course, it is just a simple sugar. Now, it may happen that for many individuals, the enzyme lactase is missing or it is less active, as a result of which the lactose remains and it has its own way of making things difficult. But we have to understand that why is it so that many a times milk is causing brain related issue. Milk is causing a severe respiratory issue. Milk is even lowering the gut mobility. It is suppressing the immune response. And even it is damaging the organs like pancreas and liver. Can a simple sugar molecule like lactose is capable of doing so much of harm? That we have to think. So I believe that with this question, we have a clear vision now that other than lactose, there can be any other molecule which is far more deleterious than the lactose that we consider. And I would like to name that molecule as the devil in the milk. Yes, I'm calling this molecule as devil because once we carry on with this session, we will realize that how deleterious it is for the human body and particularly for children. Now, this molecule is chemically known as beta casomorphin 7, which is also called as BCM7. Now, the name itself, what it suggests? It suggests that it is nothing but a variant of morphine. Now, morphine is a very common term for us. Like we know that morphines are those opioid molecules which can bind to our brain. And this molecule, as because of its structural similarities with morphine, it can also bind to the brain. Now, this devil, which I'm saying here, it is naturally not found in milk. Like if we are obtaining milk, maybe from any variety of cow or any other way by which we collect the milk, naturally, this beta casomorphin or this BCM is never present in milk. But then this molecule is produced by our own body. So the molecule that we are dealing with, all the troubles that we are dealing with, it actually starts within our body. This molecule is not developed by the nature, by the cow, neither it is present in the milk. Now, let's get a quick understanding, a quick vision of what is this BCM7, because this will help us to realize that how we can manipulate the way of giving milk, how we can manipulate the different dairy products for different group of patients. So first of all, like till now we have discussed that the A2 or the Desi variants of cow, they produce A2 milk. Now this milk, which is even called the organic milk or the Vedic milk many a times, it is free of any change. So it is just the right type of casein which the initial genetic conformation was there. Now this casein, when it is getting digested in the body, it does not have any problem because the A2 variant casein, it failed to produce any deleterious molecule while it is getting digested in our gut. But at the same time, if the hybrid variety, if the foreign variety of A milk we are considering, then the casein of that milk, due to a very crucial mutation, it gives rise to an unknown molecule while our digestive enzymes are acting on this casein. So if we consume the A1 milk with the casein, of course, and our own digestive enzyme are doing the general pathway of digestion, then a peculiar form of peptide will be formed in our gut. And that molecule is nothing but the BCM7, which I have already considered as the devil of the milk. Now, I believe that with this, one point is now clear to us that this BCM is nothing but a foreign molecule, a foreign particle suddenly evolving in our body. And as because it is foreign, body is not aware of it, then definitely the body is bound to provoke an inflammatory response. The body here generates a strong inflammatory response. Now, that is the reason which explains that many a times, why is it so that when there are milk allergies like situations, why the body experience allergic responses when the milk is not actually suiting the patient. So it is because that this molecule is triggering the inflammatory response in the body. Now, the next question that I definitely want to share here is that is there any way out by which this BCM7 can be changed? By this BCM7, the body can get rid of. So our body actually have its own mechanism of dealing with this BCM7. So whenever we consume the A1 milk, it is actually not harmful. Whenever we digest it and BCM7 is formed, then also it is not harmful. It is not going to cause any harm. The main problem begins whenever this molecule enters from the intestine into our blood. So the molecule, unless and until it reaches the blood by crossing the gut lining, it is of no harm. So in human body, this BCM molecules, they are actually degraded, they are actually ruptured while they travel across the intestinal lining. Like we all know, in our intestine, there are enterocytes which are present. And these enterocytes, they do a wonderful job as because they have a very crucial enzyme. I would like to focus, take your attention towards this enzyme. Why so? Because in our coming slides, we will learn that how our diabetic patients are getting affected. So let's pay a little more attention here, that the BCM7, it generally gets digested in our gut, right? Why? Because the enzymes which are there in our gut lining, they can cleave them. The problem happens, all the trouble begins whenever this BCM7 is not digested by our gut lining enzyme, which means whenever the enzyme is missing, then only the BCM7 travel down the intestine, reaches the blood, and ultimately cross the blood-brain barrier. Like if you remember, we have discussed that this is nothing but a structural form of morphine. So morphines, they have their receptors in the brain, we all know. So this BCM7, it can even travel across the blood-brain barrier and it can reach the brain. It binds with all the opioid receptors we have in our body. It binds to the opioid receptor we have in brain. It even binds to the opioid receptors which we have in our gut lining. And that is how it starts damaging the gut. It binds to our immune system. It creates the immune response. It troubles the T lymphocyte development. So there are multiple things which are actually happening in the body only if this enzyme is missing. Now, if we have a good gut lining, if we have good amount of microbe content in our gut, if we have good type of adhesion, then definitely our gut can prevent the problem begins, the main trouble begins whenever our gut fails to do so. So here, there is one point to know that if our gut is healthy, we don't have to worry what exactly we are consuming, what type of milk they are consuming. But sadly, in today's scenario, our gut lions are mostly damaged. We are exposed to multiple toxins. We are exposed to the different types of inflammatory agents. There is dysmicrobiosis which has happened. And sadly, because of that, the enzymatic actions we have lost, and we are ending up in developing the ill effects that we are experiencing. Now, like I was telling that there is one very important relation with the diabetic patient. Yes. So till now, by this discussion, we have learned one thing, that A1 milk will cause no harm if we have good enzymes, particularly DPP enzyme. Now, the thing is that the medications that is given to the type 2 diabetic patients, they are actually DPP-4 inhibitors. I would like to take your attention here that the enzymes which are actually resisting the BCL7 molecule or its ill effect, they are blocked by the medications which are given to type 2 diabetic patients. Which means for the diabetic patient who are under the medication like algoliptin or sitagliptin, for them, the DPP is already damaged. The DPP is cleaved because of these drugs. So these group of patients who are under this type of mutation, they are very prone to the A1 milk sensitivity. So we have to be very careful while we get to hear that there is an individual with type 2 diabetes and the person is developing serious inflammatory response, serious sensitivity. Now, other than those who are again prone to such type of disastrous condition, so we have learned that this BCL molecule our gut can prevent, right? Now, whenever the gut cannot prevent, then only the problem begins. So, like if I talk about infants, so infants, they don't have a very strong gut lining. They don't have a very good form of tight junctions. They have high permeability in their intestinal lining. So as a result of which, the BCL7 molecules, it travels down very easily. It goes to their blood, it goes into their organ system, it reaches their brain. And I believe that explains that why nowadays children, they are showing more number of disorders related to brain. Particularly, I would like to focus on autism. It is even true for adults. Like in adults nowadays, we know that there is leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut syndrome is one common thing. More or less, everybody is somehow exposed to the situation. Now, leaky gut, it happens when the gut lining is not strong enough and it is allowing the particles to flow. It is allowing the particles to move. Now, if that is true, then this leaky gut lining will definitely allow the movement of BCL7 into the blood. So adults nowadays, they are also equally experiencing all the deleterious effects. There is another point that we must remember, which is SIBO, SIBO, which is called as small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Now, due to our different forms of probiotics, due to excess forms of microbial growth, due to delaying in gut lining emptying process, nowadays the intestine, the small intestine particularly, is exposed to our own gut lining bacteria. Now, particularly, like we know that microbes, they mostly reside in the end region of the intestine, not particularly in the site of absorption. Now, when the microbes, they are growing there, then automatically the gut lining is again exposed, the gut lining is again aligned with BCL7. Now, gluten nowadays is gluten is very commonly talked about, and there is one form of diet that I would like to pinpoint, which is casein-free, gluten-free. So this is very common. Now the question is, why so? Or why are we punching both of them together? Casein is from milk and gluten is from other sources like wheat. So why are we punching them together? The fact is, like we have discussed earlier, that casein was producing BCM molecules, morphine-like molecules. Now, gluten, while it gets digested in the intestine, it also converts itself into the morphine-like structure. I would just like to repeat this, that casein, like it produces the BCM molecules, gluten, while digestion, also produce such type of morphine-like molecules. Which means that if somebody is already under this situation of gluten allergy, so the body is totally exposed to those type of exomorphs like a BCM molecule. Further, if we are giving the A1 milk, then that will only worsen the scenario. So those who are into this gluten allergy, they are equally prone to the allergy of milk, particularly from the A1 milk. Yes, now entering into the disorders or the disease. Now, autism, we have already discussed that in case of autism, the BCM7 molecules are obtained while the milk casein is digested. And this BCM7 molecules, it travels to the brain, it enters the brain, it causes inflammation. And that is how the multiple disorders we get to experience. Now the question is, then what should we do? Should we stop milk completely for the autistic individual? Milk, like we know, is very important for children. Milk is again the complete food. Then why are we omitting it? We have to find a way out. We have to think that how we can use it, how we can give the same nutrient to that child who is suffering with autism. So there is one important point that I want to focus here is that this entire journey, this entire process of BCM7 formation and its deleterious effects, it all started with casein. And if casein is there, then this will convert into BCM and all our deleterious effect was beginning. What if we don't use casein? If instead of casein we use whey, whey is very much available. We can easily make it as home as well. And like we know that whey contains good amount of amino acids which can easily diffuse and it can help in development of the child. So instead of omitting the milk completely, we must think that whether whey can be used for those children. I'm not saying that casein is not important. Like whey has its own utility. Whey will provide the amino acids, whey will provide the right amount of protein to the child. But then casein is equally important because casein, whenever it is there in our gut lining, it promotes the slow diffusion of amino acids. The way what it will do is they will allow easy diffusion of amino acids. So whenever the amino acids are given, they are easily diffused, they reach into our circulation. Casein will allow easy diffusion of amino acid, as a result of which the body gets good time to use the amino acid and to build the muscle. So it is believed that casein plays wonders when the body is trying to build up muscle. Whey is also helpful. I'm not saying whey is not. Whey is definitely helpful. But the major role of whey will be to stop the muscle loss, and it will also provide some amount of protein. But if I talk about a growing child, then casein is needed because the child has to grow the muscle with each and every day. So that is how we understand that for autistic children also milk is necessary. We have to find out our ways of giving the milk so that we can help that child. Yes, so till now we have discussed a lot regarding BCM7 is deleterious effect, what we can do. Now sadly there is another enemy which is still left in the milk. So let's take a look at it. Now, if you remember at the very beginning, it was told that the new variety, the A1 cows variety, it was produced by a mutation. And I must tell you that this mutation, it happened in the amino acid called histidine. So which means that whenever the A1 variety milk, the foreign variety milk we are taking, and the body is producing this BCM7, simultaneously, the body is also getting exposed to huge amount of histidine amino acids. Now, histidine, like we all know, it is the precursor. Histidine is the precursor of histamine. And histamine, I don't have to tell you that histamine is going to cause the inflammatory response. Whatever inflammatory response, starting from reddening of skin, itching of skin, respiratory issues, allergic responses, it all begins with histamine. So if a person who is already developing such type of disorder, maybe skin disorders, maybe respiratory disorders, so for them, if there is a surge of histamine like this, then definitely this histamine will create a havoc response in terms of inflammatory molecules. So we have to be very much aware that milk allergy is not just limited to our gut lining, it is actually affecting the entire body. Now, I will just brief this slide. There is a lot more information to share, but I'll just brief it in a as much as small portion I can. So let me tell you that this BCM7, it will stop the absorption of cysteine. Now, just like all other deleterious effects, this is again a very disastrous thing that the BCM7 is doing. The BCM7 will stop the absorption of cysteine amino acid. Now, I believe we all remember that cysteine is very special because it contains sulfur. So, whenever we are exposed to this A1 milk, there are cysteine deficiencies which will develop in the body. Cysteine is very important to maintain our immune system because cysteine, produces glutathione. Now, glutathione nowadays it is discussed throughout social media, it's everywhere. In many books, we get to see in papers, it's there. Glutathione is very, very important for our immune response. It helps to build the immune response. It helps to protect the immune response. And at the top of all, it kills the free radicals. So the oxidative stress that the body experiences, it is actually stopped by the glutathione. Now, whenever there is this lowering of cysteine, at that time, there will be lowering of glutathione, and simultaneously, body is exposed to all the deleterious effects like toxin accumulation, free radical exposure, oxidative stress, lowering of immune response. So all are going to happen together. Now, in that case, our gut lining, it suffers the most because we have learned that they are going to experience the excess amount of BCM7 in them. So in our gut, there is one important chamber. I just want to focus on this, that in our gut, there is one important chamber which is called as GALT, or gut associated lymphoid tissue. What is the role of this structure, this patch which I am talking about? This tissue in the gut, it acts like a training center. What it will do is, whenever our body is exposed to any dietary antigen, any unknown dietary antigen, this gut lining lymphoid tissue will produce antibodies. So that is how the gut maintains the immunity. Right? Now, whenever there is so much of inflammatory response going on in the gut lining, definitely the lymphoid tissue present in the gut is also damaged. Now, as a result of which, whenever this GALT is damaged, then whenever we take this A1 milk, which will produce BCM7, which is also a dietary antigen, will not be recognized by our gut lymphoid tissue. So our gut lymphoid tissue will actually fail to recognize the BCM7. And it will definitely try to generate an antigen. It will definitely try to produce an antigen so that it can find it. It will definitely try to push the T lymphocytes and plasma cells and produce antibodies. Now, what happened? As before, the GALT is suffering itself, but then it has to do its work. So while doing that, it wrongly produces antibodies in our system. And these antibodies cause autoimmunity. Now, this topic is, I'm very honest with you, this topic is vast. There is a lot more to discuss. Maybe some other day we can discuss more. But today I just want to pinpoint one thing, that because of this cysteine amino acid deficiencies, our gut lymphoid tissues are damaged and they produce autoantibodies. That is all I want to convey. Now, once the autoantibodies are produced, we all know the next disorder that we will experience is autoimmunity. And the autoimmune disorder, which is very common in our world today, is type 1 diabetes mellitus. So what we learn here is that type 1 diabetes mellitus is definitely, it happens due to genetic factors. But other than genetic factors, the milk, A1 milk, the BCM molecules, it is pushing our gut lining to produce antibodies and to cause the damaging of pancreas. Now, once the pancreas is damaged, once the autoimmunity is developed, then we have nothing to do, but then the person has to depend on insulin. So this is one major reason why in today's world, the children are very much prone to type 1 diabetes. We see that the ratios are definitely, they have increased. And this is because from the early age, they are taking the milk. Sadly, the A1 varieties of milk, they are present everywhere and they are getting prone to type 1 diabetes day by day. I must talk about atherosclerosis here because while we talk about milk, we have to remember that casein is always considered to be a very good form of protein. For atherosclerosis patients also, casein is given. Casein is recommended. Why it is recommended? Like we know that casein is a lipotrophic agent, which means casein can help the liver to clean the fat. It will remove the fat. It will lower down the LDL level. So casein is definitely needed for the patients who have high chance of atherosclerosis, who have high levels of LDL. Now the thing is that if that casein which we are providing, if that is from A1 milk, then what will happen? Like we know, if it is from A1 milk, then definitely there will be oxidative stress which is there in the body. There will be free radicals which is there in the body. And under this condition of free radicals and oxidative stress, the LDL which was there, it will automatically get oxidized. So body now will have oxidized form of LDL. Now this is the worst condition that we can imagine. Why I'm telling this is that LDL, we always think yes, LDL is bad and HDL is good. That is true. But LDL is worst when it is oxidized. If LDL is not oxidized, the body can lower it. The body can remove it from the vessels back to liver. If it is oxidized, body cannot do it. So if a person is having high level of LDL and the person is recommended that casein should be taken, and simultaneously the person is taking A1 casein. So just imagine, now this casein will oxidize all the LDL which was there. So the rate of atherosclerosis will definitely increase in that person. So we have to be very specific that for these group of individuals, the casein must come from A2 variety of milk. Whey proteins are also good for these patients because whey protein helps to reduce the oxidative stress. The oxidative reductions are lower. So that is how the heart patients or those who are again exposed to atherosclerosis, they must be taking the A2 variety of casein. Now this slide I believe is very, very important because here we will get to see that what is the release rate of BCN7 molecule. Now till now we have learned that BCN7 is there in milk. Now milk we are consuming as a general drinking milk. Milk we are also converting into the fermented forms of milk. Milk is there in cheese, milk is there in paneer, in chena that we say. So milk is present in different forms or casein is present in different forms. Now let me tell you that the release of BCN7 molecule, the devil molecule, will happen in dairy milk, in fermented milk, but the highest rate of release will be in cheese. Now here, there must be a question that cheese, it is a varied range. There are multiple types of cheese. Now, if the cheese is unripened, the unripened form of cheese will show a greater release of BCN7 than the ripened form of cheese. Like if I say the Parmesan cheese or the cheddar cheese, then they will have less release of BCN7. But if I'm talking about the unripened form or the unripened form of casein, which is the paneer, which is the chena, then they have a higher rate of BCN7 release. So the paneer which we are recommending, the chena which is being recommended, they will provoke this damage multiple times higher than a general pattern of drinking milk which is being suggested. Now with the same scenario, I would like to compare between the infant formula milk. Now generally infant formula milk, they also contain the solidified form of milk. It's there, like we know, many a times it is hydrolyzed. But the good thing is that in the hydrolyzed form of this infant formula milk, the peptides, they are already broken. The peptides are already cleaved. So the body will not produce the BCN7 molecule. So the BCN7 release is actually less in case of the infant formula milk. Yes, now it's time that we discuss some of the myths. The first one that I'm having here is camel milk and autism. Nowadays, many a times we see this, that people are saying, there are articles which are written that camel milk will help to overcome autism. It will help to reduce the chances of autism. Now, at the very beginning, I think you remember that we have noticed that how A1 milk was causing the autism, or it was promoting the autism. And we have learned this all is done by the casein or the BCA7. Now, if I talk about camel milk is no doubt good. Why so? Because the BCM levels are nil. Because camel does not come under the category of A1. A1 categories are mostly for the cows. That is A1 cows. Camel milk comes under the category of A2. But my question is that is it only camel milk which we can give to the autistic patient? A2 means it can be A2 cow. It can be buffalo. All buffaloes have its variety of milk. Sheep. All sheep varieties have a variety of milk. Goat. They also have a variety of milk. Which means that if I'm taking and I need camel milk, then definitely I have to get it in a packet form, in pasteurized form, which is not the pure form. But at the same time, if I can get the buffalo milk, which is very much available in the locality, and that buffalo milk, it comes under the category of A2 milk, then why not? Then why we use the buffalo milk for the autistic patients? So I believe that it is a total myth that only camel milk can help the autistic patient. The second myth is again very interesting, I believe, which is a comparison between ghee and one ghee. Now, ghee nowadays we see that there are multiple ways of branding ghee. Prices are going higher. They're selling them as Vedic ghee and organic ghee, A2 varieties of ghee. There are strategies which the market is using selling the ghee. I have a question to ask here that what we know that the ghee which is being made, which is being produced in the country, the majority of the proceeds that is being for this ghee production, it's Bologna technique. Achha, please tell me whether the voice is breaking or not. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
voice is breaking.
Yes, ma'am.
You can continue without your video. I think it will improve. It is almost the
Sure.
last portion of our discussion, so you can continue.
Right. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So like I was saying that the A2 ghee or A2 ghee, why are we worrying about this? Because the ghee that is being produced in India particularly, it is by Bologna technique, like we know. Now, this technique is particularly done by churning processes where the fat is collected and the fat is being used to produce the ghee. At no point casein is coming into consideration. So this A2 and A1, this concept, which we must be thinking, which must be worried about, it is not at all true for the ghee. I'm really sorry for the disturbance. Am I clearly audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes,
Just
thank
in
you.
one line, you can conclude why the ghee, the factor is not important. Ghee make
Sure, right. Like I said, that ghee is typically the fat that we are using. We are not using casein. The entire story of A2 and A1, BCM is deleterious factor. It all lies with casein. When we are talking about ghee, we have extracted the fat particularly. So there is no point of considering a ghee variety as A2 and a ghee variety as A1. So this is a total myth where the people, the companies, they are coming up with this branding of A2 ghee. And the fun fact is that nowadays they are even supplying certificates. Now in the certificates is clearly shown that the certification is given that the milk is A2 category of milk. There is nowhere written that the ghee is A2 category of ghee because there is no such concept. So this is a way by which the companies are actually creating eyewash for the buyers. Now, there is a dilemma. So till now, we have learned that definitely A2 varieties are good and A1 varieties, they have their own limitations that we have discussed. Now, there is a dilemma that I want to share here is that is this A2 milk, that is the desi cow milk, is it 100% safe? This is one important question we have to think. Like, from the very beginning, we all have witnessed that all the trouble, all the difficulties, it started with the protein, the missed form of protein, BCN7, the devil molecule. So in case of A2 milk also, if there is a misfolded protein formation, if there is a denatured protein formation which the body does not recognize, then also the body can generate inflammatory response. The body can reject the milk. So it may happen that the A2 milk which we are buying, we are not cooking it properly, we are not storing it properly, and while doing all this, somehow we are denaturing the protein. So if we do that, then again the body will be exposed to the denatured protein. And if it happens, then A2 milk will no longer remain safe. I'm not saying that we will experience deleterious effect like A1 milk and BCN7, but definitely at this point, the A1 milk will not remain 100% safe. So just buying A2 milk is not important. What is important is understanding that in what ways we can get the pure form of it, how we can keep this protein intact. The more we heat it, the more we burn it, the more we simmer it, it will get denatured. Now, as this denatured milk will generate inflammatory response, so definitely we must think about it. Now, talking about the formula milk, whether it is A1 or A2, so it actually does not create a havoc difference, because like I have shown that the hydrolyzed form which is there in formula milk will allow the body to get rid of this BCM7. So there is no point of worrying a lot. So by the end, I have a question here. This is a question which will force us to think that can we really blame the A1 milk? Because till now, what we have discussed, that our body was producing BCN7. Our gut was allowing BCN7 in the circulation. It was our body which was betraying us. It was our gut lining which was allowing the molecule. So instead of blaming A1 milk, we have to focus on our gut immunity. We have to focus on our gut lining, how intact it is. Because now we are discussing about A1 milk, we are stopping the ML milk, we are rejecting it. We also reject the gluten because of the same reason. We see now with time, more and more such particles will come in our environment. We cannot reject everything. So it's better that in the long run, we definitely focus on our gut immunity. We focus on our gut lining maintenance. So these are some of my references. And before I end up this, or I conclude this session, there are few things which I believe that we all must discuss together. Because being a dietitian at your end, how this fraternity can help the patients or how they can use it in their dietary terms, let's have a discussion on this. So I would like to request dietitian Shomendu Ghosh to please take over and continue the discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Bijaya and Shauradip. It was an excellent session. We will move to the Q&A session. So before that, there are a few questions in the chat box also. I will invite the seniors also. But here you have discussed about the leaky gut. So leaky gut is one of the very important thing. One question I can find you have put forward that hypothyroidism patients are more prone to A1 casein sensitivity. Can you just give this answer? Can you please discuss hypothyroidism patients?
Yes, sure. Hypothyroidism. Now, like we all know that in case of hypothyroidism, the gut mobility is reduced. There is a slow moving of the food which is there. So if there is a slow moving, which means the gut lining, they are getting exposed to the particles for a longer time. If the food stays in the lining, there is a higher chance that there will be dysmicrobiosis, which will again lead to leaky gut. So mostly the hypothyroidism patients, if they don't maintain the right flow within their gut, if their gut mobility is not correct, then they are definitely more prone to A1 casein.
Yeah. So another thing is you have said about the gut microbiome also and the leaky gut also. That is very, very important for us. Unnecessary, we are blaming lactose in the milk. Sometimes in our time, in our childhood, there was very less incidence of having this lactose intolerance. Now, whenever a child comes to our clinic or any adult, because people have a tendency, elderly people used to take a glass of milk during bedtime. But now the problem is severe and we don't know what milk we are consuming, because the most of the branded milk comes in the packets are A1 milk. And even told by Shorodip about the genetic things, even if it is crossbred, we cannot understand from the feature of the cow it is from the desi cow, because we have lost our pure breeds. Many indigenous breeds is lost because of this business. So this is very important for us, even for, except for the infant formula. Infant formula do not claim that they are lactose free, but the nutrition companies which are coming to us without naming, without saying anything, they first come, sir, my product is lactose and gluten free. So actually lactose is the culprit or the casein is the culprit. So we need to know. And very rightly said about you have said about the gut microbiome also. So that is very true. And anything more you want to say about obesity and PCOS? Because nowadays patients are too much coming to us. So what about milk? Many of them has asked this question in the chat box also.
Right.
PCOS mainly.
Right. Definitely, like we know that obesity or adiposity is actually a state of inflammation. So if the body is going into a state of inflammation, then how come our adipokines, they can act properly? They cannot. And simultaneously, this BCM7, because of its morphine-like structure, while it binds to the brain, it actually provokes us towards the consumption of fat content. It changes this leptin metabolism in our body. So there are some papers which suggest that this, due to this change in leptin levels, there is high chance of obesity. Now with obesity, there comes PCOS, there comes insulin resistance. So that is how they are related.
So what about curd and chena or cottage cheese? Will you suggest for them?
Right. Right. From my end, like I've said, that if we are only concerned about protein, then whey protein are very good. And caseins, if we want to consume, then we must be aware that it should be from the A2 variety to be on the safer side.
Thank you. So now I am moving to the seniors also. If we have any questions, one questions from dietitian Shourabhi also. Shunanda ma'am has raised some question. Shunanda, if you have any question, you can ask the question. Shourabhi, I think you got your answer. She is the dietitian, senior dietitian in JN Roy Hospital. So she was asking to repeat about the diabetes. So hope you got your answer. If not, you can say we can give that. Vidyaji, yes, everybody is giving excellent comment in the chat box and they are asking for your mail ID. Yes, we will put for your mail ID also. And I am moving to Ipshita Di, said if there is any thing you need to ask, and also Sangamitra Di for this session. By that time, Bijoy, do you want to say anything about this free histamine can bind to H1 receptor to the stomach?
Yes, that is, I believe this is one important thing that we need to consider. Many a times people come with problem कि दूध खाने से acidity होता है. That there is some relation between milk and acidity. So like we have discussed that milk can provoke histamine surge. Now histamines, they are going to cause inflammatory effects, but other than that, histamine, whenever it binds to the stomach lining, it provokes or it pushes the chief cells of the stomach lining to secrete acid. So we can say the more the histamine, the more acid secretions will actually happen in our stomach. So that is one important thing to note, that it can even lead to acidity.
Vidyaji is asking, can dilution of milk, A2 milk, decreases its negative effect? So negative effect is, I think the histamine is with A1, not with the A2. So if you can just clear your question, we can get back with the answer. Vijay, can you get the question? Can dilution of milk A2 decreases its negative effect?
Okay, actually A2 is the desi variety. That is the good form that we have talked about. Talking about A1, on dilution, what we are diluting actually, milk is an emulsion. And in that, while we add water, the protein is still there, right? So if we are diluting, then definitely the content will be less, but we cannot escape it. On long run, we will definitely experience the deleterious effect.
Sure. Thank you so much. Miss Shomi is asking, she wants to know about the autism and milk. She cannot hear at that time.
Okay. Autism we have discussed thoroughly actually. Basically the A1 milk, it produces a molecule which is similar to morphine, and that molecule can travel directly into brain. It can cross the blood-brain barrier. And while it reaches the brain, while it binds the brain, it starts all its deleterious effects, and that is how it promotes autism.
Thank you. Shaurudeep, can you just answer? Somebody has asked about the genetic part. So by that time, Miss Bijaya, can you type your mail ID in the chat box? Everybody is asking for your mail ID.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Genetic part, we can usually tell that the milk, the cow that is appearing in front of us, that is can be the desi variety. We can say we cannot be sure about that the cow is totally A2 gene carrier or something else, because both the A2 and A1 allele both are co-dominant. It means that the cow is appearing in front of us. There can be 50% chance that it can also be a A2 allele carrier, or it can be as a A2A1 allele, that is hybrid gene carrier. So this is very much difficult to say that the milk we are getting from the local market that we are daily consuming, it will be a pure desi variety. It only can be ensured by through the genetic procedure, which is very much costly. I have also said that before, but the milk we are daily having, it can or may not be the pure breed as well.
What
Thank
about the organic milk? We have this organic milk sold in the market at fabulous prices. Any idea whether they are A2, purely A2 or not?
Ma'am, if I can answer,
Yes,
ma'am,
please.
actually, yes, ma'am, the pure milk, if I'm talking about, then it always have to be A2 milk, which means by the genetic analysis, both the alleles should be A2, which is very, very rare. So in that case, it becomes pricey, I guess.
But it's not usually available. That's a problem.
Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Miss Bimla Kumari, ma'am from Apollo Hospital, Vizag, is having a query. Bijaya, can you see the chat box?
It will be if it
On
will be
regular
possible.
basis, we get milk in the packet from different companies. So how can we distinguish whether the packet which we are receiving A1 or A2?
Okay, ma'am, actually, all the commercial milk which is available, more than 95%, it is from the
Foreign
A1
breed.
variety,
Foreign breed, that is
foreign
A1.
breed,
Yes.
hybrid breed.
So
And if
without
it is
branding,
A2, if it is A2, then they have to mention that it is A2. If it is not mentioned, it is the general
because
A1.
now
Yes, ma'am. Mentioned in the packet also that it
now
is
a company is coming with a lot of advertisement that is without naming or any branding any company, that is country delight. So it has lots and lots of fat. So if we are prescribing in the name of A2 also, Vijay, we are getting too much. It is creamy fat. I have also purchased and I have used for 1 month, but I found that it is too thick fat is coming. So again, I changed the variety. So whatever brand are coming to our home, these all are A1 variety. And unfortunately, Brazil, the A2 variety Gir cow has been taken and they are doing a good business from India. And we are unfortunate that we are taking back the foreign varieties in India and Bangladesh for the milk. But even the Indian varieties are capable of giving good milk, and they are suitable for the humid climate of India. Whereas these Holstein Friesian or these cows are very much prone to illness when they are brought to India, and these are crossbred in India. So they are given lot of injections also, and antibiotic is also going to in our body. There is 3 raised hand, Miss Komal Srivastav, Shunanda ma'am, and Shudipta ma'am. Komal, you can ask your question. Yeah, Komal is not there, I think. Shunandadi, you have any question?
Immune system to compromise.
You need to unmute and ask, or you might type in the chat box. Renuka, Miss Renuka.
Yeah, I have a question. So
can we say that buffalo milk or camel milk, all these are safest? Because when it comes to A2 cow milk, the varieties that we get in the market and they're branded so heavily, we do not know whether they are really A2 variety. So can we say that buffalo milk is the safest? This is my first question.
Yeah.
Second question is that when BCM7 is goes when it crosses the blood-brain barrier and goes to the brain, so is it possible that due to this people get headaches and they get that typical this thing when they feel very sleepy and they get that drowsiness and they sleep a lot? Because my son has this problem. Whenever he has milk, he has acidity and then he sleeps and he is like almost drugged, like he can sleep for 18 19 hours where he is not he's half awake. I mean, he's not totally fast asleep also, and and we realize that once we stop the milk, he's better. And with curds and buttermilk, he's not so bad. But if he has pure form of milk and if he has paneer and if he has cheese, he's worst.
So, ma'am, have you tried with buffalo milk? Because buffalo milk is obviously A2. There is no variation of A1 coming in buffalo, even in goat milk, camel milk, whatever. Only the variation of A1 and A2 is that is histamine and proline is in the cow.
That is the reason why I asked that. Then it is safe. Is it safest to have buffalo milk? Because we don't know whether there is any adulteration as far as the A2 A1 is concerned.
Right. First of all, I would really like to thank for sharing this wonderful scenario that you have explained regarding your son, and it clearly shows that how exactly this milk is causing damage in each and every home. And the buffalo milk, yes, we can definitely choose it if we are happy with the fat content and happy with its composition. Definitely we can go for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, because buffalo milk we cannot recommend to all our patients because of the fat content. And if we want to remove the fat, many patients do these things, that boiling and removing just pouring water, again boiling, so the protein gets denatured from this. So what is the question of Komal ma'am is about the cancer patient. Komal Srivastav is asking your opinion, Vijay, about cancer patient. Any detrimental things or anything?
Yes. When we think of cancer patients, the first thing that comes to our mind is that whey is very helpful for the cancer patients, particularly when they are leading into a stage of cancer cachexia, because at that time, preventing muscle loss is very important. So if the person is allergic to milk, if there are difficulties with A1 milk or any other form of milk, whey, I believe, will solve most of the issues while in their treatment process, by stopping this muscle loss or helping them to hold the protein content.
Thank you. So about the autism, the doctors, now the pediatricians are not asked to stop gluten or totally milk. I worked with one of the renowned pediatrician of Kolkata who is a developmental pediatrician. She always used to say that milk is a very important component in the diet, in a balanced diet. So Shomindu, do not go and just totally stop milk. You can test that how it is working. So conceptually, Vijay, what you will say about milk in autism and about buffalo milk also?
Yes, like I have already discussed that camel milk is doing the same thing like a general buffalo milk will do. So for autism patients, buffalo milk can be given. If the child cannot digest it for any reason due to lack of any enzyme or any other environmental factors, whey can be given.
Whey can, yeah, yes. So Bidyaji has given a very good feedback. The session has opened a whole new world about the cow's milk. Thank you for organizing this excellent webinar. So thank you again, IAPEN Kolkata chapter, for choosing this topic, and Shanghamitra ma'am as well. Mapuza is asking about the milk powder. We do not recommend people to have milk powder due to a lot of processing and fat, I think Vijaya can say.
Vijaya, this is Ipshita Chakravarti. Sorry for interrupting, Shomindu.
Yes.
I have
Yes,
just a small question.
Yes,
regarding in Kolkata, a few of our communities are there who prefer this, which we call in Bengali goala, that cow's milk or buffalo's milk delivered at home, not the packaged one. But we as a dietitian, we always say use packaged milk because the pasteurization process cannot be done if you collect the milk directly from the cow or buffalo. So usually if you collect it directly from the cow or buffalo, which is being served at home, so delivered at home, so there is that sort of milk is an indigenous supply, and that is A2. But there, like in my personal practice, I have seen that sort of milk contains a good amount of infection. Even I got one patient who had brain TB because she used to consume milk which was served, buffalo milk, which was served at her house on a regular basis. So what's your take on that? Because pasteurization helps in removing the infection at the same time. And again, if you consider this buffalo and cow's milk served at home, which might be of A2 variety, and automatically buffalo milk is of A2 variety. So what's your take on that?
Yes, ma'am. Like I believe that pasteurization is definitely important. The main reason behind pasteurization is to get rid of the microbes. Now, if we are not consuming it as a marketed product or in the form of packaged products, and we are taking the direct milk, then first of all, the parents, they should be educated very well, and we should know that pasteurization, like I'm telling a typical scenario which is common at every home. What we do is, in that case, we take the milk, we boil it. And once it is boiled, when we get that boil, we just turn it off and we consider it safe. The pasteurization, yes, the pasteurization actually means 75-degree heating for 15 minutes, which means putting it on a middle flame, let it not boil. There will be small bubbles, there will be no boiling up. That is the real way of heating it for continuous 15 minutes. If we can do that thoroughly, and if there is much awareness from the medical fraternity in the society, then I believe this can be overcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such a brilliant session.
Thank you, ma'am. My pleasure.
Question from Shomam Datta. Mr. Shomam, can you put for your question? Shomam is doing his research in NI in Hyderabad. Shomam, do you want to put forward? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just want to know, like, do we have substantial evidence to translate this issue into a policy? Like, what does FSSAI say regarding this particular issue? Is there any distinction from their side between A2 and A1 use?
Yes, actually they have published, and again there was a research which was conducted in Karnal in the dairy farm, where they have published the paper, and they are actually discussing about that. So in case needed, I will love to share that with you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I think we need to publish this in our nutrition journals to promote awareness. I think if you can give us some data, Vijaya, we can start publishing in our nutrition journals.
Sure, ma'am.
People should get to know.
Right.
Actually, more and more awareness is required. Today's session is not enough. Maybe in future we can keep only a discussion session and debate, so that we get to understand what are the evidence saying, especially for the Indian populations. So foreign papers will not be enough for us. Vijay, if you have received any Indian paper.
No, mostly I have searched for Indian materials only, because we have to first clear the scenario, make it working in our area, in our locality. So we have to look for Indian population. So I have some materials, I will surely share that.
Sure. So any questions? Otherwise, in 5 minutes, we will close the session for today. Any question, you can unmute.
Can I ask?
Yes, Shudipta. Yeah.
The thing is that just previous someone told me that in nearby there is a Goala, that there is a Jersey cow. The Jersey cow is a A1 type.
Yes, that is the A1 type.
So it will be better if it is a buffalo milk. Otherwise, we will go for a buffalo.
If the vendors or the Goala you are saying, they are keeping the Indian breeds, because the West Bengal breeds, they are producing maybe 3 to 5 liter of milk maximum. Whereas if you see, Shudita, from the Western breeds, that is Shaival, which is very famous, Gir from Gujarat, they are actually very good milk yielding. Tharparkar and Rathi, these 4 breeds are very good milk producing cows. So nowadays many Goalas are also keeping this indigenous breed. And many like educated people, even the engineers, are also indulged in this farming. Even if you see in Punjab and these areas, so they have their own farms at their homes. So now again the culture came that to remove these foreign breeds and to just start with the Indian breeds. So this culture has again evolved. So it is not possible for us to go to their home and check which breed is there. And even what Shauradip has said, that as it is crossbred, so from the features also you cannot understand, but it will be 50% A1, 50% A2, like this. I think, Vijay, if I am not wrong.
So now,
Right, right, absolutely.
But we cannot switch to buffalo milk. Don't take this as a take home message that we will stop taking cow's milk or packet milk, and from tomorrow we will recommend buffalo milk to our patients. So our senior dietitians will also agree with me that it cannot be given to all our patients due to the fat content. Okay.
so that means we should go to the patient that try to stop the packet milk actually. That is a totally A1, first of all. Otherwise, we can take it as a dahi like that.
Bija, what will you say about this? Because it is again controversial to stop packet milk. What Ipshitadi has said, we cannot recommend our patients to take.
Yes, I just want to say one thing, that I have concluded the session by saying one thing, that we have to work on our gut, because we cannot stop everything. So if it is seen that there are mild allergies, there are mild inflammations, then definitely we must not stop. Rather, we must add glutamine in the diet, because glutamine will help to overcome this leaky gut condition. We must add garlic to the diet, because garlic will add readily available allyl cysteine, which will boost the immunity. We must give glutathione supplements. So these are the things on which we can work, rather than just stopping things, because we cannot do it for every product.
And I don't think it's safe to have it from the gualas also, because we don't know what exactly they are mixing.
Yes.
Exactly.
There's no guarantee that it's A2 milk. They are also getting it from mixed breeds.
And not only that, Goalas also think about that professional thing, because A1 variety gives a huge production.
Absolutely.
So it may also happen that they are giving it from a A1 variety of cows.
And maybe there's so much of toxin is going in, we have no idea.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So one thing I want to say, this happened in front of me. I found one goala in front of one milk shop, purchased 2 Metro Dairy packet, just tear off with the teeth and pour into the can and mixed water. In front of me, this has happened. So it is long year back. So we cannot trust on them also, that what they are giving to us. So that is the thing. So we came to the end of the session. Neeraj, Miss Neeraj, do you have any question? You have raised your hand, and Miss Khushbu, it will be our last question for today.
Sir, I just want to ask, ma'am, when you were discussing about ghee, then do you suggest that it is not important to look at what variety, like generally nowadays it is labeled as A2 ghee, and it is, the price has a lot of difference. So what about the consumer? Should we go for the A2 variety, or should we take the ghee from a good brand and that's it? Like, we don't have to look at A1 or A2.
Yes, I would like to say that A2 variety, if it is of pure cow, then it deserves to be pricey, because that is very, very rare. It has its own utilities, because the fat content is good. It is very, very beneficial for the body. But in a daily use, in a long run, we should not differentiate much between A1 ghee and A2 ghee. We are definitely going to find it very difficult to buy A2 ghee for a long run. What is the present scenario as of which? So A1 and A2 ghee, they are mostly the same. There are definitely some additional beneficial effects that we can expect from A2, but mostly they are same.
Thank you.
Okay, so Purobi Ghosh, what is your question?
Namaskar. So I asked my question because some patients who are unable to avoid ghee, so how much ghee should they consumed by cholesterol patients per week or per month, like 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoon? In Bangladesh, lots of people like ghee. They cannot avoid ghee in their cooking time. So how much? Like 1 tablespoon or half tablespoon?
They are preparing ghee at home, I think, right?
No, sir.
They are purchasing the ghee. Even
Yes,
we do
yes.
not know the quality of ghee, but saturated fat can be kept in our diet. So we know 7 to 10% of saturated fat we can consume, but it will depend again to patient to patient. So what type of patient is that? You have to check on that, and accordingly you can suggest ghee. But I would say that ghee cannot,
Sir,
I mean, we cannot say that we have to totally stop ghee and butter, but trans fat should be totally stopped, I think. So ghee you can use moderately, very moderately.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So Ipshita Di, do you want to just close the session for today? It was an excellent session from both of the speaker.
So this is a formal closure. So I'm given the responsibility to say a vote of thanks to all of you. So on behalf of IAPN Kolkata chapter, I express my sincere thanks to Shaurodip and Vijaya for taking out time in a Sunday evening and sharing such a brilliant session. Shaurodip for setting the context, and Vijaya thoroughly explaining the science behind it, the controversies, why are we, what exactly we are thinking. Really, lots and lots of wrong concepts, and because of, thanks to our Professor Google, whatever is being required, we just search it and we find it and we just make it into a conclusion. So the misconception you have cleared about A1, A2 milk, and thanks to Shaumendu and his Cognize Nutrition for such a huge support to IAPN Kolkata chapter. And of course, you are a part of IAPN Kolkata chapter and for moderating the whole session in such a nice way. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who have taken out their time in a Sunday evening and made this program, this online, this webinar, such a huge success. And from our end, from Kolkata chapter, we would like to have such more sessions like this in future also, and we should plan accordingly. And Vijaya, well in advance, at least on my behalf, I am telling you, we want to listen to you more.
And the pleasure is mine. I'm really thankful.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, sir, for such a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you and good night, everyone.
Audience, if you can switch on your video, Ipshita Di, just stay back with your video. Just need to take screenshots.
Sure.
Pritha and everybody can, if take 1 or 2 screenshots of the audience. Okay, those who it is possible, you can just switch on the video for 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all the audience all over India and Bangladesh also. So Vijaya has put her email ID. You can put forward your questions. She will love to give you the answers.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Good night, sir. Good night, madam.
Good night, sir. Good night, madam.